do this. Okay, that's much better. All right, the strange wall.
But you have purchased yourself passage on the Blue Kraken from Calimport to the city of Neverwinter. Your half-orc captain, Nija, has offered you half your payment back if you can help guide them through the nights in the crow's nest. And you'll be on the ship for 3 weeks. During that time, at least for the initial portion of the journey, most of our crew doesn't question their new member because they ultimately pay most of their respects to the captain, and nobody questions Nija's decisions. Why don't you give me 3 perception checks, 1 for each week that you ride on the ship.
Okay, sorry if you can hear my cat destroying my couch in the background.
Yeah, that's okay.
I said... Right, so 3 perception checks. 1, 2...
Oh.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
So, the first week that you travel on the Blue Kraken, there's actually essentially a trio of pirate ships that are sailing in like a flying duck formation almost. You don't necessarily recognize the ships as pirate ships, but you spot them well ahead of time and inform Captain Nija that there are ships approaching. When you do so, she actually climbs up to the crow's nest herself because this is kind of an essential part of her journey. She's expecting to unload a large portion of the cargo that she has accepted on her first stop, and you spot these ships kind of maybe like the second day out at sea, and she crawls up to the crow's nest with you herself and actually takes a look through the spyglass that she's handed you, and she essentially whispers holy shit under her breath and tells you that these are some of the most notorious pirates at this part of the sea. They almost always sink their prey once they've met eyes with them, and without your keen perception, they surely would have been sunk and never escaped. All lives on the ship would have been forfeit. Before she makes her way back down from the crow's nest, she hands you back the other half of the pearls that you paid for your voyage. 6 more worth 100 GP. She says, "You saved every life on this crew. Everyone here owes you something now, and I will make sure they know it." The second week is less eventful. Essentially, through the night, you guide the helmsman away from any kind of blockades or protrusions out of the sea or any coastlines you get too close to during the nights. The second week of the voyage is fucking gorgeous, pretty much. There's never any cloud cover, and you get this kaleidoscope of constellations that you have never seen before, living mostly under the city for a long time as of late. There's even a portion of sea that you pass by where there's a um, almost like a aurora borealis type thing in the sky. This um, collage of greens and blues, like a hot fire burning in the night sky almost, and beyond that, this just like um, Milky Way almost spattering of stars beyond it, like it's the heaviest, uh, con most heavily condensed um, gathering of stars during this portion of the year, and it's just like breathtaking. And despite all the distraction, you still manage to guide the ship away from any hazards. The third week, um, the ship kind of takes on an autopilot mode. Um, this is a region of the Sword Coast that the ship mostly sails, and um, you get a little seasick through most of the third part of the week. Like the excitement and everything kind of wears off, and the heaving and shifting of the boat kind of takes over, and you spend most of your third week in the crow's nest basically hurling over the side of the deck. But most of the crew still gives you a lot of sympathy for basically saving their life on the first week of your journey. And um, eventually, the Blue Kraken docks in the city of Neverwinter, which is one of the most highly populated cities of the Sword Coast. It looks quite a bit different than your homeland, mostly human when you sail into the docks, um, although there are quite a bit of tieflings working on the docks district of the city. And when you disembark from the ship, Captain Najah thanks you for um, being such a good lookout, and essentially tries to convince you to stay on the ship and become part of a permanent part of her crew. And she offers you actually, um, I think you guys during the journey actually develop kind of a pretty good repertoire and
Mhm.
become very good friends. Um, and she tries to actually just convince you to stay on the ship, and if you do so, she'll give you like 10% of the any plunder or shipments that you guys receive, um, and successfully, transport.
So he's going to look very touched and say thank you, but I do not believe I am made for life on the seas if the last week is to show. I have seen sights that I've never seen before, and set as the kinds of which I shall never forget. You have given me much, but my heart longs for land, though I
Um,
will miss you dearly.
so Najah, and during your whole journey these last 3 weeks, you've never seen Najah make physical contact with any of the other members of her crew, but she plops her hand down on your shoulder and draws you in for a big embrace. And before she lets you go, she says, "You're always welcome on the Blue Kraken, and whenever I am in Neverwinter next, I will seek you out."
I do have, before I must leave, I do have one query. It's something that's been weighing on my mind. Just a passing curiosity, but I noticed something on your ship. What that strange wall down below. May I?
She says, "Oh, you are quite a good lookout indeed, Nuru. But unfortunately, that information is only privileged to the highest ranking members of my crew, seeing as you're going to disembark today. That's a story for another time."
I await it greatly.
And she kind of like twists up the little ends of your ears, and She says, "I look forward to your eyes again." And she pats you heftily on the shoulder and um, sends you packing off her ship. And you are now in the city of Neverwinter. There is no turmoil here. Even in the docks, all the trade seems legitimate. There is a dock master who checks in even the blue kraken, counting every crate that comes off her ship. Um, uh,
Oh,
Go ahead.
there is something I did want to do. Right before he says like he disembarks the ship, he is going to try to slip one of the pearls back into her pocket.
Sure.
I, yeah.
Make a sleight of hand check. Do you like slip a note with it or anything?
No, just the pearl.
Um, and you do so um, as Nija releases you from her healthy grasp. Um, you pull one little pearl from the strand out of your pouch and slip it into the um, front front breast pocket of her dark leather jerkin. And when she discovers it, she will certainly know where it came from. And even as the crates are unloaded and you step your way off of the ship and make your way into the other districts of the city of Neverwinter, before you are able to leave the the large stone archway of the docks district, somebody stops you with a ledger. Um, a human man with kind of short cropped brown hair, young and um, rosy cheeked, and he looks at you in your eyes and he says, "Welcome to the city of Neverwinter. I see you arrived off of one of the newly docked ships. What is your name?"
Nuru.
He jots it down in a leather journal that he has in his hand with a quill. And he looks up and smiles at you and he says, "Welcome, Nuru, to the city of Neverwinter." And you pass through the tall stone archway of the gates into the trade district of the city, and you smell the cooking of meats. You hear the laughter and joy and song of happy people spilling out of the taverns. And it seems like a faraway place from the small stone hovel that you left behind 3 weeks ago, your father passing out and snoring after slapping you in the face and demanding more wine. And I would like to welcome you, Frankie, to Curse of Strahd. So I hope that was fun for you. That was kind of an improvised.
Oh, can I do one last thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
The first thing Nuru's gonna do is go and buy a bottle of wine.
That is fucking amazing. If I hadn't already given you an inspiration, you would have another one. That's awesome. Nice. I love that. That is great.